Aaron.
Here?
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Aaron is here. Welcome back, everybody, for more SPTV, where every day's a great day not to be in a cult. Oh, I am so happy to bring you guys more Priscilla Presley leaving Scientology content. I love it. I absolutely love it. Not for what it means to like regular people in the regular world who probably don't give a good gosh darn diggity about whether Priscilla Presley is in or out of Scientology, but what this means for people who are still in the Scientology bubble. Because this is interesting. I'm going to show you a 2-minute clip of Priscilla Presley on CBS Good Morning, or one of these morning CBS shows. It's only a 2-minute clip of, it's a very strangely edited clip, by the way, of Priscilla Presley talking about leaving Scientology to someone that's never been in Scientology. What Priscilla Presley has to say about why she left Scientology sounds like the most nice, innocent, toothless explanation. She's not saying anything mean. She's not saying anything bad happened to her. She's got nothing bad to say about Scientologists or Scientology or David Miscavige or anything. But what I want to explain to you guys, and what I hope you guys will find interesting, is that the fact that she has nothing bad to say about Scientology and yet is saying that she's leaving Scientology anyway, and the reasons that she gives, is even more devastating when it comes to the impact that what she has to say is going to have on people who are still inside the Scientology cult. And I know this seems totally counterintuitive, right? You'd think, oh my God, the worst sob story Priscilla has, like the worse her story is, the worse impact it would have on people inside Scientology. And that would make sense. But I'm going to explain to you why it's actually not that way. All right. And my little play button here is not working. So we are just going to go this way. All right, guys, it's a short 2-minute clip. I'll try not to interrupt, but I probably will interrupt. But here it is. Here we go.
It seems like you've lived with so much grief, really, in your life. And you even write in the book that you're never going to outlive it.
Yeah, no, no.
So what do you do with it all?
I have to live life. I have a son. I have grandchildren now, and I want to and have to be there for them.
But not many people talk about Scientology, but you're pretty open about talking about it. How did it help?
Guys, I'm sorry. I said it wasn't going to interrupt, but I have to interrupt right away. The reason I started the video from where I started it is to show you what a strangely edited clip this is. She's talking about one thing, and mid-thought, the interview is like, but many people aren't open about talking about Scientology. It's like they pick up the Scientology part of the conversation well into the Scientology conversation. And if I started the video clip right when Scientology is mentioned, it would seem like I was leaving out context. And that's actually why I started it from where I started it. Having said that, I'm gonna do this again so you can, I don't know why I want to do it again. I just do. It's so weird. I had to watch this so many times to be like, what is going on here? But here it is.
It seems like you've lived with so much grief, really, in your life. And you even write in the book that you're never going to outlive it.
Yeah, no, no.
So what do you do with it all?
I have to live life. I have a son. I have grandchildren now, and I want to and have to be there for them.
But not many people talk about Scientology, but you're pretty open about talking about it. How did it help?
I got a lot out of Scientology. I did. There's a lot of good in Scientology.
What did it do for you?
It opened up my mind in a lot of ways of looking at things, a lot of ways of working things out, a lot of ways of, looking at the bigger picture. I learned a lot. I didn't have a bad time there.
But you left eventually, not necessarily because of Scientology, just because. Why?
My daughter left.
Yeah.
And I started looking at it and thinking, gosh, I want to do a lot more things. I mean, when you're in Scientology, you're devoted to Scientology. And I had been asked to do a lot a lot of things and movies and things that I did. And I just needed freedom to be able to do it right then, and not have to worry about going to class or, making sure I put my time in. But I never had a bad experience with Scientology, like some people have. I really want to enjoy my life at this time. I don't want to be someone that, is unhappy or, gee, this happened to me. Things happen to everybody in life. I now can look at things in a bigger picture. I enjoy people. I enjoy being around people, but I also like my privacy as well. Yeah, I decide for myself what I want to do, when I want to do it, if I want to do it. And I feel I'm in a really good place.
Okay, and then they get off into talking about Elvis and stuff. Literally, that 2-minute clip is the only part of the show, at least the edited part of the show, where she's talking about Scientology. Now, again, she's like, I didn't have any bad experiences like other people did. I like the fact that her saying she didn't have bad experiences was not intended to negate the negative experiences that others had. I did like that. Okay, so what was I talking about when I said the fact that she is literally saying nothing bad happened to me? I liked Scientology. I got a lot out of it. How could this possibly be even more negative? How could this be even more negative to people still inside the Scientology cult than if she had some horrific tale of abuse? Because if she had some specific tale of abuse to people inside Scientology, they would be able to at least point to the fact of, Scientologists believe that even Scientologists are capable of doing bad things and doing injustice, that, Scientologists, most of them have reactive minds, which is what L. Ron Hubbard said is wrong with everyone on planet Earth. And that, even Scientologists can do bad things, and staff members do bad things, and Sea Org members do bad things. And these things happen. And L. Ron Hubbard explained it by saying, we are building a world with broken straws, And so at least if someone has a tale of abuse or injustice or whatever, Scientologists would be able to be like, yeah, some person mishandled Priscilla Presley. And that's a shame. And that's unfortunate. But it's not a reflection on Scientology itself. It's a reflection on that Scientologist or that staff member or that Sea Org member who did something wrong, behaved badly, didn't do it the way they should have done it, didn't do it the way L. Ron Hubbard would have done it, didn't do it the way David Miscavige would have done it. And that person should be corrected. And that person is at fault. And that person is the reason Priscilla Presley left Scientology. Except Priscilla's literally like, I loved Scientology. It was great. The people were wonderful. It helped me in amazing ways. But it was just time to go. That's even worse because it's an indictment on Scientology itself, not some individual in Scientology who mishandled Priscilla Presley. Now, here's what's interesting about the way this clip is edited. She originally credits Scientology for helping her to sort of think bigger, see the bigger picture. And yet later at the end of the clip, it sounds like now that she's left Scientology, she's able to see the bigger picture. I think Priscilla Presley is trying very, very hard to leave Scientology in just the nicest possible way so that her Scientologist friends are still allowed to associate with her. She's trying to thread this needle very artistically. In her book, she mentions that John Travolta is a dear friend of hers and has continued to be her friend. By the way, Priscilla Presley isn't saying I've just left Scientology. She's been out of Scientology since her daughter, Lisa Marie, had left, which it was either 2012 or 2014. I just can't remember. And so in her book, she does say that John Travolta has continued to be her friend. But she also kind of implies in her book that now that she's publicly saying she's out of Scientology, he may not be able to continue to be her friend anymore. And I think the fact that she wants her high-profile Scientologist friends to continue to be her friend. The two most high-profile would be John Travolta and Gottfried. How do you say his name? Gottfried Hellwein. Hellwein. He's an Austrian artist. An American might say Gottfried Hellwein, but I think it's Hellwein. I don't know, you guys. Gottfried Hellwein. He's a famous Austrian artist and he's a high-profile Scientologist. And he's been a long, long time friend of Priscilla Presley. So she is talking about leaving Scientology in the way that she is. One, because I think it's genuinely true for her. Even when I interviewed Priscilla's son, Navarone, he said, yeah, my mom's not in Scientology anymore. But, she didn't really have, she kind of liked it. She's out of it now. Okay, anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. Let me get back to my original thought, or the last thought that I remember being in the middle of. For Priscilla to say, and I made some notes here while she was talking about it. The interviewer said, why did you left? She goes, well, my daughter left. She goes, I wanted to be able to do a lot more things. That implies a professional artist, actress, like, let's take Scientology celebrities. They tend to be artists, musicians, actors, and actresses. Scientology would want you to believe that being a Scientologist is something that would help you with your career and explode your career in a good way. I mean, look at Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is the poster boy of Scientology. Does anyone work harder in the entertainment industry than Tom Cruise? So for Priscilla to imply that she was having to choose between the time Scientology was demanding of her and all the movies that she was being asked to do is actually a huge slap in the face to Scientology, even though she's saying that in a way to minimize her complaints about Scientology. But it's actually a horrific indictment against Scientology. I was being asked to do a lot of movies, and also her it's weird how this is edited, and it's also weird how Priscilla chooses to communicate it, because she starts to say, I wanted to do a lot of things, a lot more things. I was asked to do a lot of movies. And then she says, which I did. And you go, so wait, was Scientology preventing you from doing movies because of the time commitment, but you said you did the movies anyway? Anyway, we all know that actors and actresses who are Scientologists do not have to choose between having a career and being a Scientologist. This is simply not true. And so, but Priscilla's framing it that way to try to make it seem like she has no major complaints, but the complaint ends up being a major indictment of Scientology itself. Okay. She talks about the time commitment. She said, I needed freedom. I didn't want to have to worry about the time and, the time that I was going to have to put in on class and, doing a movie and not being able to put my time in. Guys, this is terrible, because what this means is, even though Priscilla Presley is saying she was never treated badly, she didn't have any complaints, she never suffered any abuse, she didn't have any big falling out with anyone, Scientology just wasn't that important or special enough to her. Scientology just wasn't that great enough to continue giving any attention to it. And especially at her advanced age, she's got kids, she's got grandkids, she's got important things she wanted to devote her attention to. And Scientology was just getting in the way. Oh my God. Again, to someone outside of Scientology, they might go, that's so nice that she's not trashing the group that she's leaving. But to a Scientologist, I promise you, it's even worse. You guys know how much I like to repeat myself, so I'm going to do that a little bit. So just imagine this. You've got Priscilla Presley. She could either be out here being like, I had a horrific experience, and this person did this to me, and David Miscavige was mean to me, and I had no choice. I had to leave. Even a Scientologist would go, that's a damn shame, but it's not an indictment on Scientology. But Priscilla Presley, one of the most famous Scientologists, it's like, it was great. I loved it. I had no complaints. It helped me in so many ways. Just not enough for me to want to keep doing it. Guys, Scientology, the way L. Ron Hubbard talks about it, the way even Scientologists talk about it, is not supposed to be something that just helps people be a little bit happier or have somewhat better relationships or make you a little bit more aware. A Scientologist who has experienced, like, this is the way L. Ron Hubbard would describe it, subjective reality on Scientology, and a Scientologist who believes in what L. Ron Hubbard said, would genuinely feel that nothing in life could possibly be more important than Scientology, because they believe that we are all immortal spiritual beings who've been around for over 60 trillion years, and for various reasons have arrived at a state where we have fallen from our well, you can't fall from immortality, but we've fallen from our all-powerful nature, what L. Ron Hubbard described as native state. And that we have fallen down to a level where we have become imprisoned on planet Earth and imprisoned in these bodies. And that Earth is actually a prison planet. And that these bodies are actually a component of the prison planet of Earth. That we as immortal spiritual beings are living lifetime after lifetime after lifetime trapped in these bodies. And that as spiritual beings, our memories of our previous lives get erased at the end of each lifetime by the evil alien psychiatrists who are keeping us trapped on planet Earth. And that every time we die, Scientology calls it dropping your body, we are pre-programmed to report to the Between Lives Implant Station. Now, the station is located, there's more than one. It's either on the far side of the moon or Mars or Venus or whatever. But as spiritual beings, we are programmed to, when our body dies, spiritually teleport to the implant station. The evil alien psychiatrists that run these implant stations wipe our memories and shoot us back down to Earth, like teleport into to inhabit a newly born body at the local maternity ward and grow up again, living a new lifetime with no memory of your previous lives. And that only Scientology and Scientology's auditing can raise your spiritual awareness to a level where you can skip the Between Lives implant stations. You can bypass it. And because you bypassed it, your memory doesn't get wiped. So you as a Scientologist will be able to retain the memories of your previous lives from here on out, and also retain all of the spiritual gain and awareness that you got from Scientology in your past life, so that you can pick up in your new life as soon as you're old enough to read and write and understand words enough, which, because you didn't get your memory wiped, will be at a very young age, or actually instantly, immediately. This is how important Scientology is supposed to be to Scientologists. It is supposed to be like the Matrix, like Morpheus and Neo and crew, working hard with much sacrifice to unplug all of humanity from the Matrix. That is supposed to be what Scientology represents to humanity, to a diehard, dedicated, true believing, dyed-in-the-wool Scientologist. That is how important Scientology is. So when someone like Aaliyah Remini leaves Scientology and talks about all the horrific ways she was mistreated, a Scientologist can go, it's a gosh darn shame that we lost Leah, but someone mishandled her, and that explains her leaving. But when you have a Priscilla Presley who's been in Scientology since, I think, the 70s, she knows Scientology as well as anyone has ever known Scientology. For her to leave after all this time, for her to publicly admit that her daughter, Lisa Marie, left, and to basically say it's because I just wanted the freedom to do movies without having to make up my course time. It's even more of an indictment of Scientology, because what it actually says is, I did not get enough out of Scientology to justify continuing to give it my time, attention, and money. And it was just time to move on. And that's even worse than saying that someone did something horrific to you and you couldn't live with yourself if you continued being a part of the organization. Okay, so that's my Priscilla Presley review. Yeah. Can anyone really argue at this point that Priscilla Presley is still a Scientologist? I really don't think so. Let's look at some starred comments and we will move on. Ben says, now might be a good time to ask her for an interview. Yeah. Anon, good to see you, Anon. She's saying it like this to not cause issues with the church. I agree. Poof, 911. I watched that story. They cut out everything about how she says she was treated well, but nothing about her acknowledging the abuses others suffered. Why am I still shocked when this happens? Sherry Ritholtz. She is speaking like this to minimize their hate. Yeah. Anon, she's trying to be critical and non-critical at the same time. Northern Girl. The first thing that jumped out at me was that she wanted her freedom. That seems pretty huge. Yep. A Girl. Will she be declared? It's a good question, and it depends on what exactly we mean. I think it's going to be somewhat like what happened when Jenna Miscavige first started speaking out about Scientology. I got a phone call from someone who had been, one of my best friends, Daniel Presta. He was working at the Office of Special Affairs International. And he called me to tell me that because Jenna was speaking out publicly, she was guilty of committing suppressive acts, and she wasn't declared a suppressive person yet, but the policy still applied. And I was like, which policy? He's like, the policy on suppressive acts. And I'm like, yeah, the policy on suppressive acts says you should be declared a suppressive person. And the policy also says if it isn't written, it isn't true. And there's no policy on Scientology from disconnecting from someone until they're officially declared a suppressive person. And that's not official until it's in writing. So is she declared or not? And he's like, well, no, but the policy still applies. And I'm like, Scientologists commit suppressive acts all the time. There's justice procedures in place for Scientologists who commit suppressive acts. You don't go from committing a suppressive act to Scientologists disconnecting from you. You actually have to be declared a suppressive person first, and it has to be in writing. So anyway, this was a long time ago. I mean, this was close to 20 years ago now. But telling that the anecdote serves to be an example of Scientology already pivoting at that, about 20 years ago, into saying that someone is declared a suppressive person, but without actually making it official and without actually putting it into writing and asking Scientologists to act as if it were true. And they did this to Debbie Cook as well. Even before Debbie Cook officially, most of the viewers don't know what I'm talking about. So I'll just put it this way. I expect Scientology to start verbally telling people that Priscilla Presley has publicly departed Scientology and the policy applies, and act accordingly. But I do not expect them to put it into writing. I do not expect them to officially declare her a suppressive person. But I think the Scientologists in Priscilla Presley's life will privately contact her and explain to her why they can no longer associate with her. And I guess we'll see if that includes John Travolta and her friend Gottfried Helnwein, however you say it. Okay, Jennifer Arnold. Does Priscilla have any family that are still in? So I want to say no, but I also can't remember if Michael Lockwood is still a Scientologist. No. Michael Lockwood was Lisa Marie's most recent ex-husband. He's most definitely not a Scientologist. Danny Keough. I'm trying to remember if Danny Keough is still a Scientologist or not. And damn it, I wish I could remember. In the live chat, I'm looking in the live chat real quick. If anyone can remember, because there's a lot of people in the ex-Scientology community who know Danny Keough. George, just keep an eye out about it. I see someone asking about Riley. Riley is not officially a Scientologist, but she, like her grandmother, doesn't publicly say anything about it because some of Riley's best friends are Scientologists, and she doesn't want them to be forced to disconnect from her. Someone like Riley, who is so concerned about her relationships with her Scientologist friends, someone like Riley can still very, very much look and sound like she's a Scientologist because she will be an apologist for them, even though she's not a Scientologist herself and not active in it. Like the way she completely sugarcoated her mother's story and her mother's book after her mother died, Lisa Marie we're talking about. After Lisa Marie died and before Lisa Marie's book came out, Riley made damn sure that book was not negative about Scientology. And again, that was sort of, it's why I'm so hard sometimes on certain people who claim they're no longer Scientologists, but still have tons and tons and tons of Scientology friends. Because these people publicly will not say they're out of Scientology. Privately, they will. And I know that someone who is not able to publicly say they're out of Scientology for fear of repercussions is in many ways and for many intents and purposes still under the control of Scientology and therefore still a Scientologist, whether they're actively doing courses in auditing or not. It's like if they can control you, then you're one of them. That's the way it works. If they can control you, you're one of them. And yes, I understand there's a difference between someone who actually goes on course and someone who never intends on going on course again. Sure, I understand that there's a difference, but in many ways, there's not a difference. So that's why someone like Sky Daly, Hulk Hogan's now widow, privately, she'll be like, I'm not a Scientologist. And then publicly, she'll be like, I'm a Christian. And it's like, yes, but how about you publicly say you're not a Scientologist? You won't do that, will you? How about you publicly say when you left Scientology and why? You'll never do that, will you? So anyway, I'm being long-winded about this. Riley is not actually a Scientologist, but she does look like one and she does sound like one because some of her best friends are Scientologists. And I don't remember if Danny Keough is still in Scientology or not, but if he is, he would be the only one of Priscilla's family members, not blood family, but still family members, who is in Scientology. Okay. Force of delightful nature. It sounds like she is saying Scientology did not allow her to do what she wanted to do, but it was good. Yeah, exactly. The gay divorcee. You don't leave someone or something that is working for you. Excellent point. I like that. Abigail Siwanat. Excellent to see you, Abigail. And thank you for gifting 5 channel memberships. Anon says people get away with not doing course all the time and still call themselves a Scientologist. Absolutely. Adam Carmona. She talks about Scientology like it's a frivolous self-help program, not the flubless endorsement they want. Great comment. Anna Maria M. I wish Erin could go through the civil lawsuit that she's been hit with. It's good. Oh, yeah. Oh, right. That's the one from the lady. I actually messaged that lady on Instagram asking if she wanted to do an interview with me, but she never saw the message. Martha Simmons. Priscilla wants more freedom away from the supposed bridge to total freedom. That is a slap in the face against Scientology. Jojo, if you could pick one person to speak out honestly about Scientology, warts and all, who would it be? An ex-Scientologist executive or a celebrity? Oh, it would be Tom Cruise. No question about that. All right, everyone. That is all for right now. More to come later this evening, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.